Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Just Add Misplay. So you've played your fair share of Blitz, and you're ready to move on to Classic Constructed. Today we're going over the Classic Constructed format, how to build the deck, and we're going to go over some of the benefits for both skilled players and unskilled players when they move into the Classic Constructed format. So Classic Constructed is the main format for Flesh and Blood. You get an 80 card deck plus your hero card. And with that 80 card deck, you can choose any cards in it, sideboard, and cut and choose the cards you want to play against the specific deck that you're going up against. But you have to have a minimum of 60 cards in your main deck at the start of the game after the sideboarding phase. So you need a 60 card deck plus your hero and then your weapons and equipment. Your weapons and equipment are part of those 80 cards, but your hero is not. So just keep that in mind. And a lot of times you're going to end up using more like the Null Rune gear. If you need to run Arcane Barrier gear, that's going to be part of those sideboard cards that are going to be part of that 80. And you can only use cards with your hero's class or generic cards in your deck. So keep in mind that the Light Warrior Bolton can use both light cards, light warrior cards, and regular warrior cards. Whereas Dorinthia doesn't have the light talent, and she can only use warrior or generic cards. You can use up to 3 copies of the same card in your deck. For example, the red pummel, the yellow pummel, and the blue pummel are all considered unique cards because they have different pitch values. So you could run 3 red, 3 yellow, and 3 blue pummel in your deck for a total of 9 pummels. So unlike Blitz, where you can only use 2 copies of the same card, Classic Constructed, you actually have 1 additional copy. So here's the tournament breakdown. They're best of 1 matches, just like Blitz. Players can sideboard before the game starts, and they're usually 50-minute rounds. And a regular game can be as fast as 20-minute rounds or 25-minute rounds. It really just depends on the matchup. So the match startup. Both players will reveal their heroes at the same time. And then both players will determine who gets to go first. Usually you just roll a dice and figure that out. Come on, you've all done this before. And then once you determine who gets to go first, you will both then sideboard. You will look through your 80 cards. You'll select your equipment. You'll select your weapons. Then you can take out cards or add cards into your 60 card deck. Again, it has to be 60 cards minimum, but you can go over that. Then you get 80 cards to play with. And you essentially take those 80 cards and you have different sideboard cards in your deck for different matchups, but you can take certain cards out of that 80 cards and cut them if they're not useful, or put them in if they are useful. While you're swapping out cards from that 80 card deck, you have to keep in mind that your deck has to be 60 cards minimum, and that's a big deal. You can have more than 60 cards though. So unlike Blitz, you can actually have, like, let's say you want to roll with like 70 cards in your deck. You can totally do that, and it's possible, and it's legal as long as the cards are legal in your deck. Once you're done sideboarding, you will shuffle your deck, and then a nice gesture is to offer the opponent if they want to cut your deck or shuffle your deck. And after all that's done, both players will then reveal all the equipment that they selected for the game, as well as their weapons. And both players will then draw to their hero's intelligence. A lot of times it's just 4, unless it's Data Doll, of course. Data Doll, you just keep coming back. You just keep coming back. Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? Anyway, you draw to your hero's intelligence. Usually it's 4, and then you start your first round. Keep in mind that with your first round, if you go second, your hand refills at the end of the first player's turn as well. So there's a lot of benefits to playing Classic Constructed. If you got a lot of games in on your Blitz deck, you've been working on a new build, or you've been playing against many different heroes, you kind of get a feel on how to fight each hero specifically, and whether or not you have to play like an endurance game or play aggro, play defensively. There's so many different combinations. You guys have been playing this game for a long time. You know how it is. And it's really neat because if you put in the work and you go up against many different decks, you're going to get a better feel on what to sideboard when you're choosing that 60 card minimum deck using those 80 cards. And I will say it can seem a little intimidating for a new player to just start Classic Constructed for that fact alone, because they don't really know what they're up against. For example, I've never played against a Benji, so I'm not really sure what to expect, but you just kind of got to dive in and you got to verse that Benji deck and figure it out. That's all it is to it. You just play games and figure it out, and the more you do that, the better you're going to get. And everyone at some point has versed their first Benji or their first Dorinthia, for example. I know that's y'all don't like to hear Dorinthia, but here we are. I'll also say when new players are trying to learn in the Blitz format, there's often times where they're going up against a deck that just they won't stand a chance. So they'll just get blown out by like a Bravo Crippling Crush for 19, and then they just lose. And like that's just the way it is. And you can't really learn much from that. It happens. You just kind of lose, and then you're just like, oh well, I don't really know what to do. Classic Constructed can fix that. So when you're playing Classic Constructed, it's easier to identify the turns where you make a misplay or you realize, oh, I should have blocked that. It just becomes more aware and more present, and it's easier to pick up on when the battle kind of turns or when it shifts. That being said, it's mainly because the games are longer, right? So you have more health to play with. When you're going through your deck, you can determine what cards are working for you and what cards are kind of just duds in your hand. And the cards that are duds, you want to get rid of them, because if they're not going to help you, replace them with something that's more efficient. The games are longer, so it's easier to take note of that. Also, in Classic Constructed, you learn how to count the cards that you pitch to the bottom of your deck, and you can put them in any order so that later on in the game, because in Classic Constructed, there is a later on, you'll end up drawing the cards that you pitched in the order that you decided to pitch them. So keep that in mind, because you're playing for the long haul, right? You're not just trying to do a quick blowout like in Blitz. You're really setting up your deck as well as attacking in between those times. And your opponent is doing the same. And eventually you'll be able to watch what your opponent is pitching, so you kind of get a feel for what's going to be coming towards the end of the game. It's really great. It's like brilliantly designed, and it really feels like a battle. So if you haven't tried Classic Constructed yet, you should definitely just build a deck, get a friend, and you guys just play one game of Classic Constructed and just see how it feels. See if you like it. I hope this video encouraged you to move into the Classic Constructed format. If this video helped you in any way, please hit that like button. It goes a long way. It helps out so much. I appreciate it. I see every little thumbs up, and it just puts a smile on my face. And if you want to see me smile, keep hitting that like button, all right? All right, until the next video, we'll see you next time. The yellow pummel and the blue pummel, or you've been working, let's say you want to roll like 69. Oh, giggity. Thank you for watching. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my content and want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also hit the like button. It goes a long way, and it really helps out a lot. You can find me on Twitch at JustAddMisplay. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.